When you check here, we had three tables. Actually, we had one table which was a fact table, which we called the all sales. Then we had a customer table, we had a territory table, we had a product table, we had a calendar table which we called dim date. Dim is dimension. So it is upon you, even you can name all these dim products, dim category, dim. Just make sure that you know which table is which. But after a long while, when you have done all that practice, you don't need to. Maybe just the naming you want to group your data with. You can always take it that way. So, like I'm going to delete this. So when you delete this, it means that you have disconnected the customers table to the all sales table. And remember, the all sales table is our fact table. What did we say fact tables are? Fact table is a table that includes, or it is a table that always consists of numerical values. Like you have quantities, you have amounts, you have profits, you have name them revenue. That is always a fact table. And dimension tables always consist of qualitative data. Qualitative data is you have a customer table, you have a name, birthday, education level, email, nothing of those that you can add and get a metric, like you can aggregate and get a sum. It means that that table is dimensional, if you want to explain it from that angle. But a table where you find that they are aggregated values, that they are values that you can aggregate, it means that table is a fact table. It doesn't mean that you always have to have one fact table. You can even have more than one. You can imagine we can have like a revenue table, you can have a cost table, you can even have operation sales table. They can even be three tables, but at the end of the day, we consider them as fact tables. Then they connect directly to dimension tables when you're creating relationships. And we said the common cardinality of relationship is, if I double click on this, it is a one to many or many to one. That this means that in one table, something is appearing once unique, then in another table, it is appearing many times. And where does it appear many times? That is the fact table. Where does it appear once? That is always the dimension table. That's why the cardinality of many to one or one to many is always common. When I talk cardinality, is this we're talking about. There is a one here, there is a many here, that is a star. Meaning that in this table, whatever value we get from there is there once, but when we come in this table, whatever value that is there many times. That's what it means, ideally. Then we have disconnected the relationship between this customer table and the sales table. But we said, when you look through the all sales table, we have a customer key. This customer key stands now to be a foreign key in this table. But when we come to this side of the table, which we call our dimension table, this one becomes now our primary key because it is in the dimension table. And I have already explained what a dimension table is. So how do you create a relationship? Is you drag the primary key this side and you come and connect it with the foreign key in another table. The moment you connect them, you'll get this dialog box which will show you that can we make a new relationship? Yes, you say yes. But you confirm that wherever you drag is what is highlighted. Sometimes you may drag and it highlights a different column. Just make sure that you look out for the right column you're supposed to relate to. So the customer key here is relating to the customer key here. And it automatically gives us a one to many, which is fantastic. Yes, Desmond. Desmond, your hand is up.
So what if I'm to drag the customer key from the is it the The fact
The
table.
dimension, the fact table is this, the
Yeah.
sales.
So if I'm to drag the customer key from the fact table to the dimension table, what happens?
The direction doesn't, nothing, it doesn't matter. Only that the cardinality changes now to many to one. The other time it was one to many. But it doesn't matter for now. I think I've answered that, right? Still, the relationship remains the same cardinality, many to one, which is the same as many, one to many. For now, just take it like that. I know there, as we go further, we shall find that there is a slight difference in filter levels, but for now, I don't want us to go into the filter levels. Take it that it is the same. Whether you drag from fact to dimension or dimension to fact, it's completely the same. So, which means when you do that, I go ahead and approve it, and it will create for me the the relationship, which is many, sorry, one to many, one to many, because the fact table has many of the values that appear singular in those values in those dimension tables. To that. So I think that is the brief review I can do on what we did last time. Anyone that has a challenge with that still has a challenge with data modeling, I know you can't get it on the snap. That one session you have already got it. It is all about trying as much as possible. Get as many data sets as you can. Even if you just create modeling only for those data sets, well and good. By the time we reach on visualization, then you'll be creating a project end to end. But for now, upload as many data sets as you can. Make sure that you juggle them to make sure that you come up with a data model. And the moment you don't come up with errors, then it is already perfect. One to many, no errors. For now, you consider that perfect. Yes, Desmond?
But most of the data sets that I can get maybe from the net, most of them
Mm.
I've realized that they come in mostly one table. They don't have these specific tables, maybe which
Yes,
have
because
a certain
mm,
relationship.
yeah, because you have to do data normalization. Because even we are going to look at those tables, that you get a table with 50 columns. Even in most of the systems, you'll always get one table where you have to split it to make sure that you create the different dimension tables. We shall come on to that maybe in our next session. That is, we call it normalization. And I will share some data set to make sure that at least it helps us to juggle all this. I will share some data sets on the group. Just keep me updated, and I will do my best to make sure that I share enough. Okay. So all that is said, hope that we close off now the
Hello,
data model.
please.
Yes, yes, Nolina.
Yes, sir. A minute. Good evening.
Good evening,
Mine
Nolina.
is about the time when I was doing calendar table.
Mm,
At one point, your calendar table changed to, okay, you clicked somewhere and it changed
mm.
to dim date. However, mine didn't change. I just edited it like manual. I just renamed it from side. Mine changed
Oh.
automatically. Even when I clicked on, is it calendar data? Something.
No, dim
Sorry,
table
enter
actually.
data. I think that is right.
Yes. No, it is just a
Yeah,
matter
that's
of
one. Eh?
changing this. Yes, it is just changing this. You can call it whatever you want, Nolina. That doesn't shouldn't bother you.
Oh,
Yeah, it is just
okay.
changing the
I
name
thought it's
here
a must.
because remember when we loaded another DAX last time when we are talking about the fiscal year. Remember we first loaded the short one. Then we said, what if we load, because we ran this on AI, ChatGTP. Then we said, what if we load, if we want to load fiscal year, month, and all that. Then when we loaded that, it came with dim date. But you can change this always. This that shouldn't bother you. You can always change
Okay,
that.
that's
I
noted.
have a hand from Nathan. I
Is
have a hand
I
from Nathan. Yes, yes, how are you?
I'm asking on relationships. Are there
Mm.
instances where you find automatic relationships? Like you enter
Yeah,
the
automatic
data
relation.
as you
Mm,
finish power the query, then when you go to
mm.
modeling, already some relationships are already there automatically.
Yeah, that is very possible, and it will always happen with your data. But what I call upon, whenever you see that, make sure that you do a double check, double click on this relationship. You confirm that really the columns that are relating to each other, they are the columns they need to relate to each other. Because what what Power BI does, it has an intelligence. What it does, it looks at the headers. So it will look at this header product key, and then it automatically gives a relationship. But for you, you may be wanting to combine, connect the product key maybe with customer key. Maybe you didn't rename these headers in Power Query, right? So you change that. Like you come and change this by clicking on this, then you go ahead and confirm your relationship. And that's why we do data cleaning, that when you're renaming columns the other side, make sure that you give them a common name. If it is the product key, let it be product key in every table it appears. Because when you call it a product key here, and another table you call it an item key, in another table you're calling it an SKU key, it means that it will be hard for you always to relate when you're creating relationships in data modeling. And you can finish doing your querying and you have done the cleaning. By the time you load your data, all the relationships you wanted have automatically created because the headers are the same. The tables that will automatically create those relationships, it's when the headings are the same. But the moment it doesn't find headings that are the same, it will leave it for you. And the moment those headings are the same and those columns don't speak the same thing, it will relate them and it will start giving you wrong answers if you don't verify. So I think that I have answered that question. So guys, that was all about data modeling. Today, we are switching to DAX, data analytics expression. We talked about that last time. What is DAX? What do we relate as DAX? Last time, the only DAX we did was this. This is DAX. In Excel, we call them formulas. But when we come to Power BI, they are upgraded, they are enhanced. That's why you see it is different from what you would have seen in Excel. And at the end of the day, we no longer call this one a formula, we call it a DAX, an data analytic expression. It is an expression that explains in short what you want because remember we are using M language. So that's how the computer will that's the command you're giving, that please sum this column from this table. You have already commanded Power BI, go to this table, pick this column, sum everything. When I filter that I need only Uganda, remove other countries, giving me the total for Uganda only. That is what we call DAX. Now, something else I need to show you in our notes. Actually, I will jump to our in our notes. Okay, we are just supposed to go to DAX, which is this. Guys, I'm not seeing the progress. The progress is very low for all of us. Very low. We need to boost this. As we are entering the month of March, remember it is our last month. We need to be so active. Now, we are going to run through these notes quickly just to pick the few terminologies, then we can jump to the practicality of it. Now, DAX. How do you understand the word DAX? Is obviously we have already said it is a data analysis expression. It is the way how we write formulas in Power BI. Simply take it that way. So we use this as a formula language. It is done after you have done modeling. The moment you do data modeling, then DAX comes next, or you can do them hand in hand. Now, there is something we are going to talk much about, that is a calculated column and a measure. Now, a calculated column is, we have all worked with Excel. You go to your Excel table, you go to your Excel data, you add there a column and you call that column amount. Then you put a formula, quantity times price, because you want to get the amount for each transaction. You'll get the amount for the first transaction, then you run that formula up to the bottom, right? That's what we do. But what does that mean? That you're doing a calculation for each row. That's why here they tell you for a calculated column, we do row by row. It means for row number 1, you'll have multiplied quantity times its price. Row number 2, you'll have multiplied quantity times each price. And this calculated column, it is stored in your data model. In other words, it is stored in your model the other side. The model you saw us making relationships, it becomes part of that table. Now, what does it mean? That you're increasing the heaviness of your file. You can imagine if you add like 6 columns, like you have 4 tables, every table you add 6 columns. It means that those are 24 columns in total. You can imagine that you have added that megabyte in addition to your data. Then that's where now we come to a measure. Measures, these are dynamically they are dynamic calculations that are, first of all, they are not stored in the data model. We create a DAX, we create a measure. The measure becomes, it is independent, like how you see the measure for, let me call the other table, the calendar table. Let's call it a measure. You have that measure, it is carrying the weight of a table that has, let's say, 10 years, which we are not storing on our data model. But imagine that you imported that table directly from Excel with 10 years, with all their columns, month, week, and name them. That's the heaviness we are talking about. So with measures, we don't store them in our data model. It is always just as how they call it here, on the fly. It is, you create on the fly. Like when you say sum, like I will keep relating to Excel. When you go to your Excel and you go at the bottom of your table and you say equals to sum, you multiply column A, which is having prices, and column B, which is having quantities, then it will give you one answer, which is the sum of all the 2 multiplications. Why? You have not created an additional column, but you have just created one calculation in one cell, doing you the sum of the 2 multiplications. So that's what the measure does. We do a calculation or an aggregation on the fly. So what you do, you don't store this in the data model, but you get the sum of the whole column, and it is part of your data. That every time you want to reflect sum on your dashboard, you just pick that measure and drop it in the card. It will give you the sum. But remember, it is not part of your table. When you go to your tables, it is not there, but it is part of your measures and it is part of your report. So those are measures. We are going to look at them. We are going to look to create some today. Now we'll keep that. Obviously, you're supposed to go and read these notes slowly by slowly. What is DAX? What is it in full? What's the purpose? Name them, the context, how it connects with data model, how it operates after making relationships with your different data sources. So that I will leave it to you. Now here they give us an example that when you go to Excel, you put a formula that sum, it is exactly what I was talking about. You see from A2 to A100, you sum all of them at once. This gives you a fixed sum of those cells, right? Now, when we come to the data DAX thinking now in Power BI, we create a measure and say total sales. Then we say sum for us. Go to the table, go to the table called sales, pick out the column called sales amount, then you sum it for us. That's the syntax. It is nearly what is being done here, but these are two different languages. Here it was sum, this is column A2 to A100. Now here it was total sales equals to sum. Go to the table first. You're forcing, you're commanding. Go to the table, look out for a column. Anything that will always be in this square brackets, it is always a column. Anything you'll always see in these square brackets, it is either a column or it is a measure that is already calculated. So here it is explained and the breakdown is there. You can go ahead and look at all this. I may not go much into depth for that. Then for now, I'm going to switch my screen. We look at what's the difference between creating a column and creating a measure. And do they give us the same answer? That's what we want to see. Now, that's where we get now the difference of the two. Okay, so when we go to our data, that is the sales data. So when you look at the sales data, what common do we have there as an aggregation we can take? You see, we have the order quantities here. Then what else can we look at? Here they have given us the order number, they give us the product key. All this is text. The order item, it is text. So then when we go to the product category, the product subcategory, where are the prices? The prices are in products. So when you come here, you'll see we have the product price. Now, because we have already related this, now it becomes hard for us to take this column onto the sales. What we are relying on, because we already have a relationship, that we can easily create a measure. But what I was talking about is, just a moment. So if we go to the sales table, then we click on these three dots, then we go and edit query, because we want to go back to Power Query. There are two ways how you can go there. You can either click on the other transformation, then you do that. What is showing here shows that this thing is broken. It's no longer existing. Did I move this? We shall need to. Okay, let's see how we can refresh these. Now, when you get this error, it means that your data is either broken or where it was moved and now it is in another section. And indeed, I think we moved this data I moved it into a folder called module 3, then AW, this is the data. But when you check here, it was still in data set. That's why it is showing that error. And how do you correct that error after you have moved the files? You just come to the source here, then you browse again. So when I browse again, I will go to where exactly they are now. That one you'll always do it when you find yourself that you have moved your files into a different folder, which was different from what you used last time. So this is my folder and this is the 2023. So the moment I click on it and I say open, then I okay, you'll see my data will refresh. So that one you'll always do it when you find that your data was moved and it was showing an error. You see even the error button goes away. So we do the same on 2024 because this is not the address it is now. So we are supposed to change this address. So we do the same, come on source, then come on browse, look for it. Obviously, I've just opened it. That's why it has opened automatically. Then 2024, okay. Then okay, the data will load. Just give it a few minutes, or you can always come here and refresh preview. The moment you refresh preview, it will disappear. Now, since this one was a combination of the two, remember we appended these together. So when I come to this, it automatically refreshes, the error disappears. So when you get such errors, it is you, the owner, who knows where your data was being picked from. That when you connect a Power BI dashboard, report today, the next day someone renames the folder or they move your files into another folder, you'll have to come and reconnect these files back. So since it is already done, let's come to these cells. Now, how do you add a column? There are many ways you can add a column. So there is this add a column. Then you can add a calculated column by saying a custom column. Now, let's say since we don't have prices here, I'm giving an example that if this was prices and this was, let me take this. If this was price, all these are text. Let me say we are going to create another column, but we want to multiply the quantities by 2. Let's do that for now. So you say create a custom column. This is the custom column. Then you come and say, I'm creating here quantity times 2, like this, quantity times 2. Then when you come to custom formula, you go and pick the column for quantity. Just a moment, we are saying we are creating a calculated column, but this calculated column we want to multiply quantities by 2. Just as an example, it is not directing us anywhere. So what you do, we shall pick this. You can double click on it for it to load here. Then you add or you multiply with another column if there is another column for prices. So let's say if I'm multiplying another column for prices, I will put that times, then maybe you come and double click on another column like that. So if this was prices, when you say quantity times price and you say okay, it is going to create another column multiplying for each transaction quantity times price, like what you would have done in Excel. By this time we have said we are just multiplying this by 2. We want to beef the quantities by 2, so you just say by 2. Now there are these things you should note when you're creating a new column. You should always note that here you have a tick when you have put everything you want to put. No syntax errors have been detected. In case I put something else and I don't close it, it tells you token literally expected. They are expecting something. Let's say if I put divide by 2, you see it shows me that now the syntax has no errors. It means that when you're doing a calculation with creating a column, you have to be way critical on how you are inputting your syntax. That when you pick a column, you're multiplying with another column, you're multiplying with another column. Anything you miss out, it will give you an error, right? So here we are multiplying our quantities by 2, which is this. Then I'll go ahead and OK. Automatically, they are going to give me my column, added column, which is quantity times 2. And you see that all the quantities have been multiplied by 2. Just because this is sorted, they are all ones on top. So, and what you should now be detecting, that is the data type. When you look at the data type, you see it is ABC123. When it is in this form, it means that Power BI is confused. Is it a number or it is a text? Remember, when it is a text, it shows this way. And when it is a number, it shows like this. But when it is like this, it is confused. So to make sure that you go with the right data type, you don't reach the other side and that confusion is still there, you go ahead and change this to a whole number. It will change to 123. So here you find that everything has been multiplied by 2. That's how you create an added column. Now, let's go ahead and now create a measure. The measure we are going to create, we shall also call it quantity times 2. Then we see whether it will give us the same answers, whether we put them in a table or on a graph. Okay. Now when we are here, we close and load, right? So after closing and loading, obviously our table is going to refresh. Remember, these ones we did adjustments by redirecting them in the different sources they were. That's why they run again. So we come here on our canvas, and now let's start with if we want to sum the quantities for that quantity times 2, what do we get? So it means that if you pick like a card, this is our card, and you go to sales column and you pick this and drop it under values, it is going to give us this 78K, but I need that number not summarized in that way. So you click on that and you go to formatting. So formatting, we look out for call out. It is. So I had to change this card from all to only focus on the sum of the quantities, because here it is summing. The moment you drop it and it is the number, it automatically sums. So you can always change if you wanted counts. You can always change the summarization from here. You want average, I want minimum, I want maximum, I want count distinct. You can always change from here. I think there is someone who asked me that question during the week. So now here, when you see when I change this, it gives me a display units. It is doing auto. It means when it increases to million, it will put an M instead of K. But I don't want anything, I'll say none. Then it gives me all the values, right? Now, as I'm having this, now this is the sum of our quantities when they are multiplied by 2. Now, let's create a measure. Let's create a measure and we see whether we shall get the same answer. How do we create a measure? You just come to this table where you want to pick the quantity from. You right click on it. There is an option of creating a new measure. That is option number 1. The other option is when it is selected, there is also another option here of create a new measure. The moment you click on that, it opens, in Excel, we call this one a formula bar, but this now is a DAX bar or a DAX environment. So I'm going to rename this. I'll call it measure underscore quantity times 2, right? Quantity times 2. We want to differentiate it from the other one. What are we doing here equals to? Now, here remember we are multiplying, order quantity times 2. So the only thing you'll do here, you open bracket like this, that square bracket. Oh, we have to first direct it. It is all. Oh, sorry. We have to start with the summarization function, that is sum, because remember we are summing whatever that is going to come from that column. So sum, open bracket. Then when you open bracket, you're going to see all the tables. All the tables will drop here. But will you always be scrolling to look out for the column you need? No. The moment I start typing all, you'll see now we are having only the other one for all cells. Then here you can look for your order quantity, which is this. Or if you start typing by order quantity, it will bring only those starting with the word order. So you pick out what you need. So we need this. And now we are multiplying this column. Wherever we find a value, we are multiplying it by 2. Then after that, you close. We're first getting the sum of that order quantity, but each we are multiplying it by 2. So the moment we enter, there we go. And when now we pick a new card, and this time we put the measure, which is this, is giving us that. Now we also have to change this. You come here on call out, you change the all to that value. Then you scroll down, you look for where there is display units. You change this to none. We are going to do all this when we reach visualization, because that's the formatting you do when you're putting together your dashboard. So you'll see that now this is a measure, the other one is a calculated column. Now, when we are doing, when you want to do report optimization, like performance optimization, that whenever you open your report, it should open quickly. Which one do you go with? 1 or 2? Just tell me this is calculated column. If I can add a text here, let's say insert text, if you always want to add like a text. So this is calculated. So I'll go ahead and bold that and give it around 16. So this is a calculated column. I'll copy this and paste it, then change it to this. And this is the measure. Now, to anyone, when you're creating a report and you feel like you always want your report to refresh faster and all that, we go with measures. Because remember, this measure, when we go to the data model, here to the data model, so when you go to the data model, you'll find that now I need you to get this difference. Just I want to pass a highlighter such that it is visible for all of us. Now, when you look at these two, we have 1, we have 2. 1 is a calculated column, 2 is a measure. But remember that this 2 is sitting there with only one value. That is the 77720. But this calculated column, every row, it gave us an answer before we summed it in the card. So it means that for this calculated column, it takes more space and it has to run to calculate every row by row. Even if it is 1 second, even if they are microseconds, that time is taken while loading. So it means that this one first recalculates every time you load it than this, because this is a measure that is already calculated with one value, and this is a calculated column. I don't know whether I explained the difference between a calculated column and a measure. They all give us the same answers. Then also another thing, someone may ask himself or herself, then why do we create calculated columns? There are instances where you have to create calculated column and you can't only create measures. But the instances where you can create measures and skip creating a calculated column, go for that. So I think I have explained that. Maybe if there is any question to that, but that is the brief explanation I can explain between measures and calculated columns. More can be got in the notes, and you'll realize more advantages on either of the two when you start doing more practice, or when we are done with this DAX module, you'll understand why a measure is more easy to use in your reports than a calculated column. Taking another example, just imagine that we are creating more calculated columns, like 6. It means that if we have our data running to 1,000 cells or 1,000 rows, we are going to have 1,000 answers for each column. 1,000 times 6, that is 6,000. Now, if each cell is taking, let's say, a byte, or call it a kilobyte, that is already a sum that is adding to the storage of your file. But just imagine that this one sums everything from the background and snaps to you an answer when you're creating your visuals. Okay, let's go ahead and also try to put it in another visual. Let's say if I copy this and paste it here. I copy this, paste it here. Now I'm going to change these to tables, or I can change them to, let me change to bars. Then under y-axis, I can go and pick a product. Since we have relationships, then I'm okay to pick a product name and put it in y-axis. You get this? So it gives me the chart. Way clear. But do you know what is happening here? It is calculating in a single measure and splits out for all these products. Now, when I come here, it means every product, they create a row for it. It is a row by row. So when I change this to a stacked bar, and I bring a product name and put it under values, y-axis. So any person in your audience who you're reporting to or you're presenting to, they will not get a difference of the two. The one on the left under calculated column and the one on the right under measures, they're all giving us the same answers, no doubt. Just don't leave out the heading, we can change that. But here they are all giving the same presentation. But the more I have the ones on the left, the more my report takes to load. Even if you don't see the delay, those microseconds will always count the moment you keep adding other visuals, other tables, you're pulling more data. It will always keep accumulating. Now, this one on the right is a measure, and we said for measures, they are not stored in the data model. It means that for them, they calculate on the fly. The moment you drop them in the visual, they automatically calculate from there. But these ones, they are calculating first from the table to get the answers in each row, then they populate per product and bring you the quantities here. So whichever you use, you're right, but whenever your data is big and you can go away by creating calculated columns, please go with measures. So I think I explained that better. Now, let's go to creating some measures from the data we created last time. So I can go ahead and create another page. You can always create as many pages as you can, but remember, when you create a navigation, these pages count. So you can even rename them by double clicking here at the bottom. Then you rename this as calculated versus measure. I'm renaming that page like that. Then I come on this page. I say, let me call it overview. Right? So here we are. Now let's ask ourselves, in which KPIs do we need from our data? Let's first put that together. Last time I told you that before you start rushing into creating visuals, always start with what problems am I solving? What are the KPIs that I need to present to whoever wants to run the report? The KPIs you put in your report, if that report is going to be shared with the high level management, you'll have different KPIs than when it is going to be used by your operation teams. So these people consume different data. And I posted about that. Maybe I'll share in the group. You go through it. Data consumption depends on the audience. When you're creating a dashboard, it depends on the audience you're creating a dashboard for or a report for. High-level managers, they never want to see the split on every product. We are selling how many quantities. They don't want to know. A shareholder will only want to know what was the profit, did we break even, what was the gross margin, what is it in percentage? That's what they want to know. But someone in operations will want to know how much quantities did we sell to customer A? How much quantities did we sell in territory B? How much quantities did sales supervisor or sales person or sales rep sell in a given day? That is operational. So you will see that those reports are different. Now, the first thing I always do, I'm not saying that you can always plan from Power BI itself. You can even plan from outside. There are many tools we use for planning. You can go to any tool, use it for planning, even if it is Word, even if it is a spreadsheet. Just do the planning from there. These days we have AI, and in the next session, I'm going to show you how you use AI to create DAX, but I just wanted us to first use the basic syntax. Now, I'll create here a brief text, which we are going to use. Now, when you're dragging any shapes, or it can be a graph, or it can be a chart, there are these three dots. The moment you fail to drag from the middle, you can always drag from these three dots like this. Now, here, what do we need? According to our data, it is a sales data. In sales data, what do we need always? We need revenue, right? What else do we need? We need that is quantity assortment. We may need how many customers we are serving. That is number of customers. I know there are very many, we can't finish them, but we are going just to have a few. I think I need to increase on this, zoom out. So we need the number of customers. So here you can go with even the number of products you have. Then you can have the cost, that is obviously in amount. What else can we run? You can run now what is the profit. Then you can have the percentage profit. I tell you, the KPIs you can run from here, there are very many, but it is always what problem are you solving? Which audience are you creating for? The moment you master that, then everything is going to become easy for you. Now, let's first create these measures just for us. Now, there is one thing I had not told us, or I had not told you. By the way, we can go ahead and remove the other columns we created because they don't pick any value, right? And the moment you remove them, this will break, right? So we didn't need this. So you can even click here and delete it from here. But you have always to be careful of what you're deleting because you can't undo. We don't have Control Z in Power Query. So it will ask me yes. The moment it goes, automatically this shows you errors because whatever it was calculating from, it's gone. Now even this measure, I don't need it because we didn't need this. It was not making any sense. So that, it's gone. So the moment you see your visual has turned to this, know that you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of cleanup to go for. So it means something was deleted, something was renamed, is no longer connecting. And reviewing this becomes hard sometimes. That's why you have always to be quite sensitive when you're deleting a report that is already shared with your clientele. Now here, let's create measures. Our measures we are creating that we have planned here. But what am I looking at? I want to create these measures while putting them in their own table. I don't want them to be mixed up here. But before we create that separate table, let's first create one measure. You see where it is going to drop. So the moment I select this and I say new measure, we start with revenue. So our revenue is going to be equal to So what is our revenue? Revenue is going to be quantity times the price. So where do we find quantity? Where do we find quantity? Quantity is in the sales table, right? So we are going to do sum of this was order quantity, right? Like this times sum of product. So the other side in product is called the other side in product. So I will just put here product, then I look at it. So here it is called product price. Where is price? This is it. So the moment I click that, close this and go ahead and enter. So I'm having it to its simplest, but there is also another way to do this. That is the calculate, which we are going to try and see whether it gives us the same answer. But I wanted us to start with sum. So which means this is our revenue already, that we are multiplying quantities and prices. And at the end of the day, what do we get? We get the amount or the revenue. Call it the revenue. So you see that it comes into it comes and combines with the other columns in this table. And I don't want that. I want my measures, all of them, to appear in just a different table that is called measures. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to create a new table such that whenever I'm creating my measures, I put them in that table. That is what we call organization. You have to start the organization as you're building. The moment you want to organize after, it is going to be a hell of disorganization you're going to deal with. So here, how do we create a table? You come to data view. The moment you go to data view and you go home, there is here this enter data. There is also this create a new table, but I will not just want to use that for now. Let's use this. So when you say enter data, it is going to create for us a new table. They are telling you create a table. Obviously, they create a table with one column with one row. And here we shall give it a name. Now, the moment you give it a name measure, it will refuse it because that name is already used by something else in Power BI. So you can always either put a space in front or put an underscore. I always put an underscore, then measure like this. And why do I put an underscore? Such that it appears on top of all the tables alphabetically. It appears on top of all the tables. So the moment I put that name and I say load, it is going to load that empty table with only one column. You see, only this column. Now, here we want now to move this into this. We want to move it from all cells into our table measures. So what do we do? Whenever you click on this measure, let's go back here on visual. Whenever you click on this measure, it will always open how you calculated it. And here it will always show you the table it is in. So you can always click here to move it to the table you want. So I'm going to move it to this table I've created fresh to capture those measures. So it means that when I'm creating all my measures, I will be coming here, right click new, create a measure such that all my measures are in one table where I can see them from. Like those people with single rooms, that all my things are in one room. I can wake up and see all of them at once. That's what we want to do. So whenever you have dropped one measure, at least one measure into that table, you can even, now you are allowed to even remove this column because you don't need it. But before you put there anything, you can't remove it. So which means now I can remove it to make sure that I leave my thing clean. And when I remove it, you're going to see this icon changing. So when I remove it and it is going to refresh, you see the icon changes. You see now what it changes to, showing that this is now the measure. It is no longer the same as this, that whatever is here has been calculated. That's why you see this. Apologies to that. So here we go. Those ones who had skipped this, we created a measure. We started with revenue. And after creating a measure, it automatically went in the table where we removed maybe the first column. But we don't want to combine our measures because you'll find yourselves, you have like 70 measures created. We are going to reach and find that we are creating like 70 measures for one project. The moment you put here 70 measures, this table is going to just elongate and you'll not be even seeing some of the columns in case you want to find them. That's why we create a table that is independent for that purpose, that is going to have all our measures. You can even create many more tables and call it maybe a table for measure cost, measure this. You can create as many tables as you want, but let's have one. I'm going to show you how you even split them in folders. Now, let's go ahead and create another measure. Since now we know that all the measures, we are putting them here. We are creating another measure, right click, new measure. This time we are going to have quantity, total, total quantity. And you should also make sure that you eliminate having spaces in your measures, because you reach a point when spaces become a problem. You start getting errors because they are reading your measure as if it is having two different names. So that's why I put an underscore, then I'm calling this one total quantity. Someone to tell me how we are going to get the total quantity? Okay. Total quantity, what we are going to do is very simple. What we are going to do is very simple. We are summing the quantities. Very simple. So it means here it will be sum, open brackets. Now, the moment you open brackets, it brings all the tables and their columns. So you can look out which table you're looking out to. The table we are looking at is sales. So I can even start all underscore sales to bring all those columns. Then now I can easily look out for order quantity because I'm summing out that, then enter. It is going to be our next measure, total quantities. Then which other number of customers, number of products. So right click, create a new measure. How do we get the number of customers? Number of customers, we are just going to count unique customers. So here I will say number. I always use a hash to show number customers, but you can put a word if you want. Then something else I didn't tell you, that with DAX, you can even put the header at the top, then you create it in a horizontal, in a vertical manner, such that you have that spacing and you can easily understand your DAX when you come back the next day. So here we are going to do counting. And what are we counting? We are counting distinct, which means in any table we are going to count. If the customer name is there times 2, we are taking only 1 because we are counting the number of customers. So we are doing distinct count. That's what it means, distinct count. And what are we counting distinct? There are many ways where we can get the customer number of customers. You can get them from the customer table itself by either counting the names or by counting their customer IDs. But I always prefer using customer IDs because you may find Noelina, there are 2 customers, all of them Noelina, but their codes are different. Maybe Noelina 1 is 001X, Noelina 2 is 002X, so they are different. So that's why I always go for the code. So I'll put here customer, then the customer table will come. I look out for the key, which is customer key. We are doing that because here we know that we are getting the unique value of it. So I'll close that. So you can even go ahead and split this, maybe bring it at the bottom. How do you bring it at the bottom? By putting your cursor wherever you want to split from, shift enter, it will bring it at the bottom. So you even this bracket, I can have it at the bottom like this, such that your DAX is easily explained. Anyone who didn't build this can easily read through. Rather than having it in one line, when you get an error, you take long reviewing where the error is coming from. But here, whenever you have an error, here it shows you that it is line this that has an error. Let me create an intentional error. Let me put here like a comma. The moment you put here a comma, you see it has highlighted a red. It means that where there is a red, that is the line where our error is. But now imagine everything is in one line. It means that you can never know where the error is, where you have to touch. That's why you have to split. We are in DAX. It is not formulas in Excel. Even in Excel, you can do this, only that people fear to split formulas. Then, imagine I'm going for leave and I want to build this such that my colleague, when they are doing any adjustments, they know what I meant. I can put comments. You can put comments in your DAX. How do we put comments? The two slashes in Power BI, they mean a comment. Any word that follows is not part of the calculation, but anyone reading this can read an explanation to know here they were doing this, here they meant this. So here I can put a comment that use, and it will always be in a different color, green. Use customer duplicate or double counting, duplicate counting. So that is the comment. I have put part of my DAX, my expression, but it is not part of the calculation. When this DAX is running or when this expression is running, this comment is not part of the calculation. It is just there as an explanatory to explain to anyone who comes to this that this is what it means. So the moment I run this, obviously it is going to log as the number of customers. So we can go ahead and complete even the others. Now, the moment you have already done maybe one of an expression, you can even go ahead and copy it and duplicate it for something else, like let's say products. Let's do that. So if I copy this, then come here again, I say new measure, then I paste it. This time I'm calling this number of products. You see, here now I'm just editing because I know it's going to be nearly the same syntax. Not to start afresh, I just go ahead and edit. So this, obviously this we are changing. It is, this time it is from the products table. Products. Wait a minute. Products table, where is it? We are looking for a product key. Here we go. So obviously here I will say use product key. Now you see that if it was a long expression, it shortens on the time I should have spent creating a new expression from inception. You just copy and edit what you are changing to. So now I've changed, we are counting the number of products. The tick, that is committing, accepting that I'm done. So you see our measures are creating. Here we go. These are our measures. Let's create cost. Then we have profit, then maybe percentage profit. Then we can see how we can lay them to make sure that we get a brief of what we have done. So let's get now cost. How are we going to get cost? just click on this, then create a new measure. This is total underscore cost equals to. Now I've already mastered that I can put this on a new line. Even you can tab to extend it in front, not to be on the same line with the total, such that it is easy to read. So here, what are we going to do? We are getting the cost. How are we going to get the cost? Remember, we have the cost in products table. So here I will say we are summing products. We can put cost here, it will come. This is it. Cost of that, close. Then I multiply this with the sum. This time we are getting the price, this product price. So I can go ahead and close this, and we count it done. So we are summing the cost times the price. No. Actually, it is not the price. It is the quantity. Sorry, guys. So this is the quantity. So quantity, it is in all cells, and here is the quantity, order quantity. So we are getting the cost for each of the quantities that have been bought. What I don't know whether we have quantities that were bought, because now here we are looking at selling, but still it can be the same. You cost as you sell. So I'll go ahead and commit on this. That is our total cost. There is a function I haven't introduced because I never wanted us to be confused. There is a function we call calculate, which can easily even do these ones simpler than doing the sum for both. So we shall look at that maybe in our next session. Someone said that there is a lot of data overload, information overload. That's why I'm keeping it simple for this session, such that when we come geared the next session, we already know what DAX is, then we can go for that bit of another level. Now we can get now the profit. Now, how do we get the profit this time? If I right click and create a new measure, now our profit is going to be, now we are going to subtract, we are going to use the measures that we have already calculated. Remember, our cost is sales minus, total sales minus total cost. So the moment you open the square bracket, it will drop for you all the measures at the bottom. The moment it drops the measures, you look out for the measure you want. So we say we want revenue, which was total sales. Then minus, you can put the other one at the middle. As I said, you can even want to put this on a different level by tabbing like this, just to make sure that we put this, then here we have cost, which is this. So our profit is equal to revenue minus cost. And we go ahead and enter. Now, maybe there is something I will show you, but I will show you I will show you later. Let's first finish the percentage. Now, since we already have profit, which means the percentage profit is this is percentage profit. You see, in DAX, you can even put space after equals. You can put space to make sure that your work is neat, not compacted. So I will shift enter. Now, percentage profit is going to be profit divided by revenue. I think that's it. Yes. So I will tab this, then bring my already calculated value, which is profit. This, then divide. Now, I don't want to use the other divide of slash. We have a function in Power BI called divide. So it is this divide. It's a function on its own. It tells you, give us the numerator, then put a comma, put the denominator. Very easy. So which means, what is our numerator here? Our numerator is the profit. So I'll put profit, this, then comma, our denominator is revenue, like that. And close the other bracket that is opening on the divide, this. So I can put it on the next level, then I close it here. The moment you close this bracket, you'll see it always highlighting. You see this? It will always highlight that this is the bracket you close. If I close the second time, it will show me that I have an error in this line, and you can always easily pick it up. That's why I want you to always split your expression. Don't write it the ordinary way, how we write formulas in Excel. Why we don't do that, such that when an error pops up, you know which line to touch. Okay, now I'm going to commit this. We are done with our plan. Our plan is done. Let's now first come here. Let's come back here. Do we need this? No. Now I want us to pick an ID. So when we go to, let's pick a card. Now this card, we want to put revenue. That is one. It is in billions. We bring total cost like that. You see, this new card, obviously there is an old card. You can use it with one parameter, or you can go ahead use it with more than one. Now, then when I bring my total customers, my products, then profit, then percentage profit. So here we go. Obviously, it is becoming too long. What can we remove? Anyway, let's first go with that. Now, when you look at the percentage, it is everything here is reading as numbers. And if you got a chance, and we put here maybe a filter that we put maybe products there, product name, like this, and we use this filter to filter and see. If we go to cables, you see cables total cost profits. No, wait a minute. Here is all purpose. This one is classic. It means some of them don't have data. Yeah, like here, total cost, no data, no data, no data. But one product, customers buying this, but I think no data. Let's just concentrate on this. Now, when you look at this, though these ones are being summarized in KKK, we didn't change the formatting. So how do we change the formatting? That every DAX you created, every expression you created, you are supposed to come here after creating it, you give it a format. Is it a number, then I can put there a comma. Is it a percentage, then I can call it percentage. So the moment you call it percentage, obviously if I screen, you see the percentage changes. It changes now to 62% instead of 0.62. And you can even determine, do I need the decimal places from here, like this? The decimal places go if you don't need them, and it summarizes it out. So it is always upon you. So which means all these products, you can go ahead and this is a number. If it is more than that, you can put for me commas. You go ahead putting there commas. I think I'm going to remove one thing like product, such that it is short. So here you have your card with all the summaries. Now you can even go ahead and boost this card by giving it images, like giving it images. I'll show you. We get images from, let's use this. You can always get icons from a website called Flat Icons. So when you go to Flat Icons, you get free images from there. Let's get an image for revenue. Maybe you always come and type here, let's say revenue. Enter that. It will bring many images. You can even pick a colored one, then you download. I download it as a PNG. Yes, I need a free one. I can't pay right now. And yeah, can use my account. You mock this by copying its link, thinking that you are sharing, such that it can give you more downloads. Yes, now let's get for cost. I know others you'll complete. Let's get for cost. Where is cost? This is cost. We need it as a PNG, free download, as downloaded. Let's first go with these two. Now, how do we create images? How do we add images? This is what I want to show you right now. So you come to your card. The moment your card is selected, you go to call out, or you can come to images directly. Now, here it is if you want to apply to all, but this time I want to start with revenue. Then they're asking me here, do you have the image? I put it on and I expand this. The moment I expand that, they're asking me to upload the image. Either I'm uploading it or I have a URL, but I'm going to upload it. Then you come here and browse your image. You go to downloads, you look for this revenue, then you come and open it. You see it will come. It is now at the bottom, but I don't want it at the bottom. I want it somewhere there in the corner, the side. So there are more settings here. Do you want fit, stretched? Then that. Then there is this. Now this image, okay, there are two options here. Let's first slash that off. Now, if we need to put an image in the callout itself, you come under callout, then callout is this number. The other image we had put, it was part of the callout. Sorry, it was an addition to the callout. But if you want to put it part of the callout, you come under callout, there is also an image. So obviously you do the same. You upload the revenue. I will show you now, because I didn't select which card I'm uploading, it is uploading to all of them. So it means here I was meant to first select that I'm putting this under revenue. Then when I come here, I upload this. You see it is too big, so you'll come here and reduce its size to 10. It is very small. We go for 30. I think I always use 32. Yeah, 32. Then you come here and say, I want to put it this side on the right. On the right, above text, on the right text, like that. The render is above text, like that. So you can play with it whenever you want to put it. So you can go with that. Then you can reduce the vertical gap, the gap between the number and the image. You can reduce it. You can play with all these. There is a lot of options for you to play with. But right now, let me go with that. Now, let me say also putting an image on cost. You'll come and select here now cost, total cost. Then you go on image, you upload this. You put it here. You click on it. It will come like that. Don't get scared. You have it all into you can have this is center, then change this to 32. I always use 32, I think. Then here you can say I want it above text like that. So you find that you have created at least that distinct when someone is looking at your numbers, they automatically see that this is revenue, this is cost, depending on the visuals you have put. You can even go ahead and put customers. Let's say if I pick an icon for customer, you can even put customer. It will always bring you an icon and you check which icon you're going with. Customer, you see this, can bring this. You can take that as a PNG, copy this, just for you to be having more mileage to download more free because you're not paying for them. So here I'll come and select the customers, then go to the image, you upload this customers. It's going to be in that format, then reduce this to 32, and we put this above text. Now, if you want to put it above text but on the right, it means that you have to change this. I think, no, we'll go with that. Then if you want to reduce its transparency, you can even go ahead and play with this to make sure that it is somehow transparent, not shouting a lot. So the vertical gap I've explained, the image size, this one you can reduce and increase from here. Then the corner radius, this is for all of them. You can select here all of them to touch on the corner radius, individual corner radius. This one I can make it 10. You see the corners have increased. So here now you already have your cards. You already have your cards. It means that if we went ahead to put the background colors, giving your report a background color, you right click on anything. But this is another class, another module, that is visualization. Don't get scared. We are just putting our DAX together to make sure that, yeah, we are right. Repeating, in case you want to remove that K and you want the whole number to appear, you always select the card, then go to call out, then look out for value. But remember here it is all. So if you want to change all, you come for value here, and you have to select one. Let's say if I want to change customers, customers like this, and here it will always show you display units. I will say none. Now when I say none, you see it spreads it, and you can see that this is 18K customers who are buying all-purpose flour. So not all-purpose, all-purpose bake stand. When I come to this, this was product which is not relating with the customers. We shall correct that maybe in the next class. Now, I want to receive questions. Here you can remove the filters. I want to receive questions to do with DAX. Before we drop this call, what do you pick from DAX? Data analytics expressions. Because we did the cleaning, we finished that. People have been practicing on that. We did the transformations, part of the cleaning, that is in Power Query. Then we came to modeling. We did it for 2 sessions. It was fantastic. Now we are on how do we create data analytics expressions. So do you have any blocker or anything that you feel like there is where you have lost me and we can recover you before we drop the call? First of all, how do we create measures? Very simple. Go to that table, right click, new measure, or You just click on that table, select it, then you'll always have a new measure here. The moment it comes, go ahead and input your own measure you want. So you can always expand it from here to make sure that you have it visible. You can use your mouse to zoom in and out. So if you're creating, let's say, a number of I think most of the measures we have created, but I don't want us to stretch into something else new. So if we say let's look at here, we have supervisors, territories. How many territories are we dealing with? So you can say number of. Remember, even if you're writing a full word, you have to put underscore number of territories like this is equal to. So if we want to count them, we use distinct count, that one. And what are we counting? Territories. So you can always, even you can pick it from here, total sales, territory key, like that. But remember, we are counting distinct. You can even pick it from the table itself. So close this and load. You'll get another measure called number of territories, and it will automatically be giving you the number of territories. That if I came to this and removed customers and replaced it with number of territories, this one here, and removed that. So you see number of territories, we have 10. So it becomes part of the data, but does it bring any idea on table? Does it solve any problems, me showing number of territories in the scorecard? If no, remove it. You have to keep it very clean and short, that this is what we need to present. If it doesn't bring an impact, never put it part of your report. Make your dashboard very, very neat. Make sure that you unclutter. Don't put everything because you learned and they look good when you put them in the report. No. A report looks good when it is adopted, when people are using it, and when people are using it to pass ideas and decisions in the